Well, time for our final film tonight, and we are where we've been all day in Hereford, because it's one of many cities across the country bidding to be the City of Culture of 2021. There are 3 cities on our patch vying for this impressive title, including Stoke and Coventry, and the winner will be decided in December. So we sent Tom Price, our reporter, to check out each city's credentials. And guess where we're starting? Oh, you guessed it, right here in Hereford.
As a stand-up comic, radio broadcaster and sometime thespian, I'd like to think I'm fairly well versed in culture.
Predictably enough, my career has led me to London, but I was actually born in Hereford. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what a city I knew so well when I was younger has to offer.
Being UK City of Culture is a big deal. Just look at all the attention that Hull, the current holder of the title, has had recently. Initial bids from interested cities aren't submitted until April, so Hereford and the other cities across the UK are still working out exactly what they can offer. But it is time to get going.
When I first heard Hereford was bidding, I immediately thought of the cathedral, the famous choir and the Mappa Mundi. I mean, that's a pretty hefty dose of culture right there. But I've got a feeling there might be a bit more to Hereford's bid.
My first stop is the Courtyard. The city's principal arts venue hosts all manner of theatre, exhibitions and performances. And it's also one of the first ever dementia-friendly arts venues in the UK. Roger Morgan is on the board here. He's also the lead on the Hereford City of Culture bid, and he thinks they have got a good chance.
Well, Hereford is, I think, a unique place in that for 500 years it was one of the 10 largest towns in the country. And it has a huge amount of heritage, lots of things to see and do, and of course beautiful countryside.
And that might be Hereford's unique selling point.
Most of the other towns have been, those that have been awarded City of Culture have always been large urban towns. Most of the other towns that have declared their interest so far are also large urban towns. The bid from Hereford is unique. We are a small rural city.
With a population of just under 60,000, he's not wrong. But as we all know, size doesn't matter. But what does matter is the future. So, I've come to Hereford College of Arts to hang out with the youth of today. In fact, some of the students here have actually been enlisted to help come up with ideas for the bid, which is great.
It was incredibly important to involve students and other young people right from the beginning, right at the heart of developing ideas, because this bid is all about their futures. It's their lives that are going to be transformed. And as you can see, they're kind of fizzing with energy and ideas. We wanted to capture that because that's what's going to lead to success. And you know, win or lose, this is having an amazing kind of creative catalyst effect for them.
What would this mean for young people in Hereford if you win the bid?
I think it would be really lovely for them to know that this city that they're growing up in and that they're starting their careers as artists and everything, that they are allowed to stay here, that there's a big enough scene that will grow here, that we can do everything we want, but we can stay close to home. Because I know Hereford's really important to a lot of people, and it would be nice to know we don't have to go anywhere to do anything. We can do everything here.
Well, there's probably enough time for me to make myself a little souvenir.
Tea. My name is Tom, so that's going to work pretty well. Pretty well.
Yeah, there we are. There's some serious art right there. Turner Prize, give me a call. One of the things the judges will be looking for is regeneration opportunities. But I've got to be honest, Hereford looks in pretty good nick. And will that put the judges off? After all, City of Culture is, in part, about giving cities an opportunity to reinvigorate themselves. And does Hereford really need any help?
I look at Hereford and think, I don't see much deprivation.
Well, you have to scratch below the surface to find it. Herefordshire has the lowest wage economy in the country. And because of that, it has a housing difficulty in that people can't afford mortgages. So Herefordshire is also in the bottom 10% for housing deprivation across the country. And that's one of the things we feel as a Hereford bid, is that if we are successful, we can demonstrate how arts and culture can boost the life of everybody in that rural situation.
Another problem Hereford might have to overcome is proving to people that it's a diverse community.
As ever, there's some debate about what that word really means. But to put it bluntly, you don't see many non-white faces on the streets. So you could argue that cultural influences on the city are limited. especially when compared to other cities in the West Midlands.
Well, actually, Herefordshire is a very diverse population. It may not be so visible, but we have agricultural workers from Eastern Europe. We have historically a very large Portuguese population.
They called us turnpike dwellers and gypsies.
Perhaps surprisingly, Herefordshire also has a large traveller community.
Knew us as workers on the farms, dealers and tamers of horses, sellers of charms or lace.
Roger's adamant that all these communities and others will be represented in the bid.
We are talking to them about how they want to be involved, how they can contribute to the bid and also the programmes thereafter.
Of course, culture can be defined in many different ways. It can be about the architecture of a region, the people, the places, the accents, or even the food and drink. Of course, Herefordshire beef is world-renowned.
But arguably even more of a delicacy around these parts is cider.
I'm here to meet someone with a fantastic moustache and an even better job title. Now, this man is known as the ciderologist, although his real name is Gabe. He'll know why Hereford's so good for cider.
It has for centuries been the focal point of cider making within the UK. The history, the heritage, the traditions of old apple varieties and old cider making processes can be rooted to various points within the county. And that is still a really important part of Hereford today. Within the city, there's the world's largest cider maker. And in the surrounding areas, you've got more orchards than any other county in the country has, and it's all down to cider.
So how does all this fit in with the bid for Hereford to be the City of Culture in 2021?
I like to call cider making, when it's done well, the confluence of art, science and nature, because it is harnessing and playing and working with all those three aspects, and that for me, that's what constitutes a real cultural identity for the county.
Well, that all makes sense. Let's hope there are some thirsty judges when the time comes. Speaking of which, I'd better have a little taste, just to be polite.
Cheers first.
All right, cheers. Cheers. Cheers, guys. Cheers. Yeah, that's very nice, actually. Quite dry, isn't it?
Well, I have to say that after that cider, everything in Hereford looks pretty rosy. But no matter how promising the cultural scene in Hereford looks, Roger knows there are no guarantees. In fact, the bookies see Hereford as a bit of an outsider. So what's the biggest problem they'll have to overcome to win the title?
Well, I would say that the sense in the metropolitan areas that great art only happens in metropolitan areas like Birmingham and Manchester and London, and that's not so. Great art happens all over the country, and it's about time that rural art had the profile that it deserves.
So there we have it. Hereford, city of my birth. You've impressed me. It's been really good to be back. And now it's over to the judges.